on your friends that you are listening to a Mexican Crossing Lines. I'm here, Cindy Gomez-Schempp, your guest.
And Duke Gomez-Schempp, the co-host.
Yes, and Cindy Gomez-Schempp is the Mexican Crossing Lines. I'm here doing that so you don't have to. And it entails a lot of learning and a lot of research. And we've been doing a lot of research on what's happened out at Standing Rock, what's been going on in our country since then. We've been following the marches and the movements and the campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been connecting a lot of things. I'm going to get into that in the future months here. The rest of the summer is going to be hella interesting, kids. That's my prediction. And tonight, I have a barn burner.
Yeah.
Woo! This is going to be a good show.
Woohoo.
It's called Let's Talk Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
We need to talk about turkey. We do.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you know about this? I got into it on the last show. I don't know if you guys have been watching my last shows. The last ones that I did were Trumped Up, and then also Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire. And if you watch Liar, Liar, Pants on Fire, you learned about a woman called Aylin Altinok.
Yep.
A Turkish woman that appeared at Standing Rock and then was later hanging out with Facet, one of Activate Now's reporters that was involved in kidnapping and rape cover-up.
Yeah.
His son committed the crime, and he and other Activate Now participants, collaborators, reporters, whatever they call themselves, participated in covering up that crime.
Yep.
Aylin was there at the side of Mike Fasig, working along with him to try to protect the defector,
Yeah.
as she called
the defector, yeah.
Courtney Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
the pipeline worker
Mm-hmm.
from Standing Rock, the security worker for the pipeline, one of the companies doing security for the pipeline. One of the many subcontractors that we found out ended up working for the Standing Rock pipeline, the Dakota Access Pipeline. And along the way, we have uncovered, we have learned, we have found that there have been many other people involved out there, many other connections to what happened out at Standing Rock, to the nonprofit industrial complex, politicians, celebrities, and organizations.
Yeah.
We've tried to cover a lot of this in our previous shows, but in particular tonight I want to focus on the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock. The Veterans Stand for Standing Rock is something that I covered very closely because of its involvement with the Kathleen Bennett case. And if you will recall, an Indigenous woman that went out to Standing Rock with her elderly mother who had dementia, Oglala Lakota women were forcibly removed. One of them was kidnapped to a hospital. The other one was put in prison and accused of elder abuse, left there to rot for 6 months. This station, 88.1 FM KPPP-LP, we exonerated Kathleen Bennett, and we showed that not only was she falsely accused, there was a group of people from Standing Rock that were connected to the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, their spokesperson, and their head of security, Bill Runningfisher, all of whom were involved in kidnapping this grandmother, putting her in a hospital, and falsely accusing Kathleen Bennett. A whole cadre of people that were out there doing security work and medical work and all sorts of very important positions that were involved in filing false accusations that were used by Morton County to put this woman in jail for 6 months and take her mother forcibly away from her and put her in a hospital and leave her there to die. She nearly did die, and shortly after she was finally returned home with the help of this station's work, she did finally pass. Thankfully, in the loving arms of her own family, not alone in a hospital in North Dakota. But the fact that that was happening, the fact that that was going on, was something that those who took over the work, those who had been involved with the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, like Wesley Clark Jr. and Michael A. Wood Jr., were notified of this problem, this horrible crime committed against Water Protector Kathleen Bennett and her mother, her elderly mother, Mary Trujillo. And we showed you that the interviews with Michael A. Wood Jr. and Wesley Clark led to further interviews with other people that continued to be in the leadership of the veterans out there. They splintered into many different groups. You can go back and review all of that, which I covered in Veterans Stand, Respond, and Beyond 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
3 different shows, probably spanning a good 9 to 12 hours
Exactly.
of coverage on the connections between these groups and what they were doing. And there's also an interview that I did with Sedef, which included Chris Dussing.
That's right.
I told Sedef about what happened.
And all that stuff can be found on kpppfm.com. We put up all our stories, and I think we have a link that early stories from Standing Rock, the Kathleen Bennett case. Those would be in the Kathleen Bennett case. And like Cindy said, there's numerous hours and hours of video and audio. You know, we break them down in audio because we play these shows on the air locally, and we adapt them to be radio ready for our Fargo Moorhead audience. You know, so you can go there and at kpppfm.com and look at the archives or look at the stories in Standing Rock or the Kathleen Bennett story. You know, as well as all the Mexican Crossing Lines. Go to that tab and you can see all the shows that Cindy's been producing. And, you know, we have many ways to, you know, get information to us, and I'll do that spot right now before we get going, because this is a hot, long show. You know, get ready. Get your ears on. There's a lot of information to go over. But if you want to chime in, you want to say something, you want to contact us, you can contact us at our number that's right on the screen. It's a message line. It's 701-566-0917. Again, it's 701-566-0917. It's a way to get hold of us. Leave us a voicemail message. We'll listen to it. We'll get back to you. Also, you can find us on Twitter at media_PPP. You can email Cindy. You know, if you want to do email, it's a really good way to send attachments and other information. Cindy at kpppfm.com, or me, Duke, at kpppfm.com. Or you can go to Facebook at 88.1 FM Fargo Moorhead, the People's Press Project, or Mexi-Can. That's a way that people have used. A lot of people are using the Facebook. It's a totally public, open page, so you can send us messages there. And if you want to contact Cindy on our public page, you can go at Cindy Gomez-Schempp. So there's many ways to get a hold of us, and you know, I'd encourage you to do so, because a lot of our information comes from people that continue to work and research out there as much as we're doing. And we're trying to get those things fit in. We're trying to get back to you. And we listen. We listen and we see. So thank you very much for helping us out.
Yes. And also for reminding us of the stories that are still going on.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Standing Rock ended did not mean that the people that were at Standing Rock didn't go on doing activism, organizing, and a variety of other campaigns. We'll be bringing you more on the details of where are they now?
Yeah, where are they now?
The Standing Rock phonies. And what are they doing? What are they involved in? What are they working on? Okay? Because y'all got to know. Y'all got to find out exactly where they are now so you can steer clear of that evil. So you will not be duped. And I want to start off by taking you to this picture where we started off on our we left off on our last show. Aylin Altinok, she goes now by Aylin Axiali on Facebook, and this is a picture from February 9, 2017, in which she meeting up with this woman at the casino in North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
What's it called?
Prairie Nights Casino.
Prairie Nights Casino, where we stayed many a night.
Mm-hmm.
And it says Sedef literally the only other Turkish person at camp. So we felt like we definitely had to commemorate that moment. Her affiliation with Vet Stand was kinda iffy, but she was chill otherwise. Well, Aylin certainly doesn't have a problem hanging out with all of the people, including the skinhead that was leading the Flint Camp Promise in Flint, Michigan, nor does she have a problem with hanging out with the Young Turks, Jordan Sheridan's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, the lover, co-rapist, Chelsea Lyons Kent.
Yeah.
You might recall that Chelsea Lyons Kent and Ty Bayless, two TYT employees, also formerly with Truth Against the Machine, working for Sheridan in that capacity, were accused of, along with Jordan Sheridan, raping Carly Hammond while she was in their employ. Okay, so these folks are all involved in these rapings. You notice that?
And getting away with it, too.
And not
being
Derek.
held accountable.
Not Derek.
Yeah, Derek.
Derek's going to go to jail for how many years? I think he got like
6.
9?
So.
Oh, I thought he got more.
No.
Well, he was facing a lot more. He was facing a lot more. And I told you all about Aylin. If you don't know who she is, and I wanted to show you. Here's one of her posts, by the way. I wanted to show you. She was posting about Erdogan, the dictator from Turkey. And if you will read that, it says...
Yes, let me make it bigger. So there was a vote in Turkey in regard to how much Erdogan will be able to tighten his grip on the country regarding the legislation. I gotta make this a little bit bigger. My eyes are fuzzy. The vote was to see if he'll be able to rewrite what is the equivalent of our Constitution, the foundation of our laws as he sees it. With over 84% voter turnout, the vote was 51.3% yes. So he rewriting the Constitution. This dictator. This dictator that's a U.S. ally, supposedly.
And what we know about Aylin is that she went to Standing Rock. She was hanging out with Sedef. She also went to Flint, Michigan. She was hanging out with the skinhead, Ryan Laurie.
Yeah.
She went to Minnesota, to Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul. She was hanging out with a Morton County operative. I mean, he turned state's evidence against people like his son Derek did. She was hanging out with him. She was working with Ed Higgins. Need I say more?
Yeah, exactly.
And she showed up in Flint again recently and got a job working with Samantha Magdaleno's uncle, doing immigration stuff. She's trying to get her foot in the door doing immigration work. Remember I told you Desiree Kane was trying to do that too?
Yeah.
Remember I told you there were certain people trying to infiltrate movements that are about indigenous and primarily Mexican and Central American people? Primarily Mexican and Central American people? So to have people that are indigenous from the north taking a lead on an issue that is about Mexicans and Central Americans, not cool. Not cool. Especially when they have an agenda that takes away from the message that we have, or takes resources away from the work we've been doing. IEN, I'm looking at you. How these organizations and people have tried to insert themselves into causes and campaigns that people in this country have been working on for decades and decades and decades, and put yourself at the forefront of them to collect money off the misery of the latest hurricane disaster. Aylin Altinok, Activate Now, and the people from Activate Now, they did that. These people continually are trying to cha-ching, cash in on the misery and the suffering of other people. And we're going to show you who they are and what they're up to and why it's harmful to this country. But in order for you to understand what and who these people are, you need to understand Turkey, and in particular the Turks involved at Standing Rock, like Sedef Buyak Ataman. Here is Sedef Buyak Ataman profile on Facebook. And if you could make that bigger, you'll see that her profile picture actually has a little insignia that says "Built to Serve" and references Team Rubicon, which is all of those people in the background of her cover photo is a room filled with people, like hundreds of them, all wearing a reddish t-shirt, and they're all Team Rubicon.
Whoa.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is a social service agency. I think that it's comprised primarily of veterans, but there's probably non-veterans because Sedef is not a veteran. She doesn't have any background in the service. And yet, she led a veterans organization, which makes you wonder, how does somebody get a job like that?
Yeah.
How do you go from having no experience with veterans groups, veterans organizations, veteran services, etc., and you become the leader of the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock? That's quite a thing to get hired to do, right?
Especially if you're paid personnel, or volunteering. Those are high positions that lead to all sorts of opportunities in your life, So this person went on from a very big deployment to another deployment, which is disaster relief, which that Team Rubicon's been active all over the country. If you go to their Facebook page or their web page, you'll see maps and maps and maps of all the things they've been involved in.
Well, the thing is that you have to look at Sedef's resume to really understand, what she has been doing. And this is from the LinkedIn, where you can go and see her, background and experience. And boy, does she have a long resume.
Yeah.
We're not going to show it all to you because that would take up
all
the
night.
next 2 hours. That's how long her resume is. But what I can tell you is that currently she's working for Activision Blizzard. If you don't know what Activision is, Activision is responsible for video games, and they have a lot of cross connection with military because, Call of Duty, game that everyone plays, that is Activision. And so, of course, they attract millions and millions and millions and millions of young people that are playing these military games.
Yeah.
And, of course, that means that the people that work at Activision have access to all of those young, fresh minds.
I know.
For military purposes.
I know. Well, they are.
And all of their information.
Definitely. They've been doing these games for years. Started with the U.S. Army game that used to be, when we first started downloading games off the internet, and they had this multi-user graphical interface for these Army games, and they're training games to teach people how to shoot guns. I remember seeing that, and it was like everybody wanted it. You can get it for free through the U.S. Army. Actually, they farmed your information. You'd sign up and give them personal information because you're just a dumb kid that wants to play this game. It's a recruitment tool. And they've went on to do all sorts of other games that are, they call them shooter games. And they're a recruitment and training tool for the U.S. Armed Forces. And I think it's disgusting that they do that. I think they shouldn't be in the schools. They shouldn't be able to do any of this stuff. It should be people's real choice to be able to go into the Army, but not to be co-opted and trained to go into the Army, Navy, Marines. And these games are part of what does that.
Well, interestingly, Steph doesn't have any, background in that, but she does have a lot of background in tech.
Yeah.
So she worked, at Cisco. And
oh, yeah.
So,
I saw that on her resume.
Yeah, I know. She has a lot of that, and also her father is an engineer. He's in the academia, right? And so her dad works in these university settings, and she has worked in university settings, and she does have a background as a recruiter. She does have a background at recruiting talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was something that Wesley Clark Jr. and or Michael A. Wood Jr. Well, no, it would have been Wesley because Wesley's the one that brought her on. Michael A. Wood Jr. said that he kept Sedef on even though she came from Wesley's hire, or
I
he
see.
was Wesley's person. So maybe that's what appealed to Wesley in bringing her on to be the head of, to be running an organization for veterans without any experience in that field.
Wow.
And the interesting. Fun fact, kids. Aylin Altinok's dad went to the same school, went to the same college as Sedef Buyakataman's dad.
Oh.
What a small world we live in, Duke.
Very small. Wow.
It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. Isn't that an amazing coincidence?
It is. It is. Wow.
It's a small world after all.
It's a small, small world.
Yep. And you know what happened to Brennan, right? You know that this man is still waiting. BJ Nastasio, the guy that disarmed Kyle Thompson, the man that brought Courtney Doctor's boyfriend. The man who brought a loaded semi-automatic weapon and pointed it at people at Standing Rock Camp. Brennan and Samantha have been dealing with nonsense for years now. It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
They're still awaiting a trial. They have been dealing with poor legal counsel from the WPLC, misrepresentation by the media out at Standing Rock and the WPLC, threats, attacks, and now Aylin Altinok. I don't know what kind of background she has, but she acts like a spy, right?
Yeah.
Because she's going here, thither, and yon on whose dime? I don't know. Don't know. But so is Sedef. You seen where Sedef came from and where she's going, and it makes you wonder, how does one get into that kind of a position? And if you look at a resume, it'd be hard for someone at Activision to have hired her without all of the fancy bells and whistles she's now added to her resume since Standing Rock, including the job Wes hired her for. There's her gold star. There's her connection to the vets. And then she goes on to work with Rubicon, which is another legit organization. She also worked with this Vet Action Network. She claims to have created this Vet Action Network, which is also on her resume. I'm assuming that that's all the splinter groups, because she doesn't specifically name what this Vet Action Network is, does, or has done in the past. But I'm assuming that it's referring to Veterans Stand for Standing Rock.
Yeah.
And that it is referring to the other groups that splintered off of that she worked with Chris Dussing and that Brendan Boucher later on and continued. So was it Vets Respond?
Yeah.
And Vets there was a bunch of craziness going on in these groups afterwards. She also did this Inspire People thingy, and this is from that website. And again, there's not a whole lot of specifics on what this is. Very bare bones. From what you can tell on her resume, and of course, this is my opinion, not, some Activision executive making a hiring decision. But I'm just looking at the resume as a whole prior to her Standing Rock, where she was doing freelance work and this Inspire stuff and this other thing, and it looks like she was looking for work. Like, you know,
Okay.
it looks like she was freelancing, wink, wink, you know. After she got the gig at Standing Rock and then Rubicon, she was able to leapfrog over to Activision.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big deal considering the millions of, you know, people's information she now has access to, and what she could do with that. What she could potentially do with that information. Again, going back to her resume, I wanted to show you some bits and pieces from her resume. Shows here, she's the Vet Action Network founder, she claims here.
Oh, yeah.
From April of 2017. So that would have been right after the camps closed.
Yep.
And it says, if you would read from there, please.
Yes, it says Civil Rights and Social Action. Vet Action Network is a multi-channel social media community focused on veteran issues and community activism. Our growing community of over 40,000 active members is spread across Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram with sub-work groups in various topics, including veteran healthcare, PTSD, TBI, issue awareness, civil constitutional rights, community support for underserved populations, and energy, climate change, civil disobedience.
Energy, climate change,
Yeah.
civil disobedience.
What is that? Is that controlling the weather? Maybe.
Civil disobedience? No. Civil disobedience is, you know, kind of like protesting.
Yeah.
Like what they were trying to charge Brennan with, you know?
But it's energy, climate change.
And then it goes on to say,
The community was originally founded in the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, December 2016 movement. Yeah. And the largest organized veteran protest of its kind in U.S. history, and has evolved into a network of diverse action-oriented veterans and community activists sharing news and information on the most important topics of our time.
oh my God.
Wow. How
Yes.
about that?
Next, we have
We have another one. We have quite a bit of stuff. Her, like we said, the resume was really big, but this was she was a co-founder and principal financer for Veterans Service Corps America from April 2017 to September 2016, and she was the chief cook and bottle washer for a startup nonprofit veteran volunteer organization, responsible for managing all external communications, including press releases, social media, community posting, strategy execution, content development, video images and copy, website creation and maintenance, blog posting on mission updates, coordination of interviews with external media, community relations, and fundraising. She had oversight into the development of organizational policies and procedures, as well as the creation of HR policies, recruitment process, and compliance issues related to volunteer attraction and vetting. Wow. And she was also doing social media mobilization and community outreach leader fundraising for Veteran Stand, which again was between November 2016 and April 2017. You know, they must have kept on going because the camps closed in February. And she developed and launched the social media channels for Veteran Stand for Standing Rock, which included onboard registrations, travel logistics, oversight for the mission, coordination, and mobilization of volunteer virtual team to manage external communications, leveraging Facebook, GoFundMe, Instagram, and Twitter. We're able to achieve a huge audience of engagement and growth in just 96 hours to bring 4,000 plus veterans in Standing Rock and raising over $1.4 million. So she's claiming that she raised that money.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she is. But we know that she was assisted in the raising of that money by Wes Clark Jr., the Young Turks. Let's not forget the Young Turks.
That's right.
And Michael A. Wood Jr.
Exactly.
All of them together were raising, and it was closer to $2 million and upwards of $2 million.
Yeah, this is a lowball figure on that. She went on this part of her resume that at this moment, I led the refinement of our community voice and a tone to ensure effective refinement of our community voice and tone to ensure effective messaging on all channels and targeting marketing about the program activities, next steps.
Let me translate.
Yeah.
I had to clean up the kerfuffle.
Yeah.
I had to clean up the mess that was left by Michael A. Wood Jr. and Wes Clark, and I believe now that was purposeful.
Yeah.
I believe that the kerfuffle and the muddying of the waters and the washing of the hands was necessary so that people could wash their hands of their responsibility to the people that were hurt, like Kathleen Bennett, like our neighbors, Carl Keene, like the many people that these people are liable to, directly liable to.
Exactly.
And now we have the goods on them. We know. So what else did she say there?
You spun it right, though. I mean, it's saying exactly what you said. I also had to put into operation and HR functions to troubleshoot and provide direction to overall strategy. That's because they weren't paying people. And I supported Veteran Stand to help to amplify the essence of this movement to our online audience. She was doing cleanup. She's having to do cleanup, And there needed to be a lot of that, too, at that time, because there's a lot of people that didn't get paid. They had reimbursements due to them. They had to get reimbursed.
She had a hard time articulating how they were going to clean up the mess they left with Kathleen Bennett when I did an interview with her and Chris Dussing. And this was at the closure of camps. They were still out there hustling for money at the time.
Yeah.
If you will recall. And I got very lame excuses and no help for Kathleen.
Yeah.
No help.
No help.
For Kathleen. So, what happened after that? Well, of course, she was working with Michael A. Wood Jr. They continued in their little crew to go out and do this, Veteran Stand actions, including, of course, going out with Chris Dussing. That's their little logo there that you saw earlier on her resume. This is where they created it, and you can see Chris Dussing there is wearing a "I Stand with Standing Rock" T-shirt. And of course, the next one here is of their crew. If you will recall, there's Sedef with that, I can't remember his name, but he was one of the people out there with that "Water is Life" beanie.
Oh.
It keeps showing up everywhere.
That's
that
right.
"Water is Life" beanie.
Yeah.
And in the next one here, you will see them doing that protest outside of a bank. Do you remember they were all chained together?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And there's Sedef with her camera. I just wanted to, use the picture of her, not all, Michael A. Wood Jr. and all those other people sitting on the steps, if you'll recall. It was raining that day.
Yeah.
So they were all out there in like ponchos and stuff. So she continued to do work directly with Michael A. Wood Jr., even under the controversy, as the mistress of Michael A. Wood Jr. came out, as Wes handed over bank statements that showed and said to me that he had over $450,000 still squirreled away in a bank account. And, as we kept uncovering more corruption and criminality within the veterans groups, the people within those groups, like Bill Running Fisher and Mulaney Stoneman and, all those folks that we told you about during the Kathleen Bennett story. So this all led to Sedef being able to leapfrog into Rubicon. Now she's got vets experience, and she can go do the disaster relief and do it under FEMA certified Rubicon, right?
Yeah.
Homeland Security certified Rubicon, right?
Yeah.
And then she even gets a letter of commendation, because she put that right there on her resume that she worked for Team Rubicon. On her resume it said, right there, here's the experience that she was able to put on her resume. Go ahead and read that to him, Duke.
Yeah.
show all the things she was able to put
Her
on there.
volunteer experience and causes. Deputy Communications Director, Southwest Region. R9, Team Rubicon, November 2017 to present.
Yep.
And is and disaster and humanitarian relief. There's crisis call line volunteer, hard hustle, gray shirt volunteer, hard hustle, PIO operation, hard hustle, it's in Texas, the Operation Great Pumpkin in California, Operation Olive View in Silmar, California, Operation Old Breed in Fallbrook, California, Windland Firefighter Training in Thousand Oaks, California. A lot of California stuff. Operation...
There was a lot of people from California that came out to Standing Rock, remember?
Yeah, and these names are something. Lava Regional Island, Hawaii. She went to Hawaii. Operation Big Iron in Happy Jack, Arizona. Social Media Technical Operations Manager Volunteer. Wow. Regional Communications Press Releases, Media Relations, VIP Relations, Community Outreach, Social Media Content Development and Delivery, Member and Fundraising Communications, Operation Specific Communications as needed. FEMA, and she has her FEMA certifications, 2 different 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
8 certifications in 2017 and 2018.
Yes,
And
that's important.
That is, and the PIO, Public Information Officer. She handles media and public inquiries, emergency public information, and warnings.
And it's all FEMA certified,
Wow.
y'all.
She does rumor monitoring.
Before this, remember, she was just working in tech.
Yeah.
And she was like a recruiter, and she was doing stuff in universities. Kind of like Myron Dewey.
Yeah.
But now she's gone a whole nother level.
That's right, and she...
A whole nother level.
I think it's funny that she's doing rumor managing when she's under scrutiny for things that she did at Standing Rock and beyond, and she hasn't been managing those rumors very well.
She needs someone to be her PR person, so to help her.
Exactly.
Right? Everybody needs some help. Okay, so next, what did she do with that? What did she do with this incredible power? She got herself a Trump commendation.
Yeah.
You want to read that, Duke?
Yeah, I'll make that bigger so I can see it. It says, well, you finally found a way to make a PIO speechless. I'm beyond honored, humbled, and motivated to do that much more. I love my #tribe. This one meant more than I can ever express. Thank you, Team Rubicon, for helping me and others with all the joy and purpose that it brings. And you'll see in here, you'll see a letter from Trump, a letter from Rubicon, Team Rubicon, and her bronze certificate.
And go over to the comments over there. Can you read that second comment there and who it's from, Duke?
Kaya
Kaya Buyak Ataman.
Robert McKay, Lorraine McKay, and a letter of appreciation from our president.
Kaya Buyak Ataman is her dad.
Okay.
Sedef Buyak Ataman is the daughter. Sedef in Turkish, is the word for pearl. It's English for pearl, Sedef. And that will be important coming up, kids, that I told you that. So remember that I told you that Sedef means pearl in English, in the English language.
Okay.
Okay? Because that'll be important. So then who else got a commendation? Well, you guys will not believe it. The woman, the veteran, that was the one that took that video that was so crucial to exonerating Kathleen Bennett. The woman that was sitting right outside of the medical tent. Right there where Kathleen and her mom were. The witness that told us that she saw Kathleen and Mary, and that Kathleen was taking care of her, that they meaning she and 2 of her other witness veteran friends that were there with her, had to carry and Kathleen away from Mary to get her to go and use the bathroom or even to get food, because she was so committed to taking care of her mom. Robin Gage, the veteran who came or was ready to come as a witness.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
She also got a commendation from Trump and was working with Sedef at Rubicon. What are the odds, folks? What are the odds of that? And no one told us about it. You don't think Sedef thought that might be interesting?
Yeah. And wasn't Sedef the one that paid Bill Runningfisher?
No, that was... Yes, Sedef was the one that paid Bill Runningfisher. Exactly.
And, so Sedef was, and that was at the very beginning where we talked about Bill Runningfisher's lies and fabrications and bearing false witness, basically, and then getting paid by her organization, and she paid him money.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, wait a minute. And then Robin Gage...
And she told witnesses in this case that she paid Bill Runningfisher the money.
Yeah.
And they also invoiced us, the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock. I asked Michael A. Wood Jr. how much money he gave to L'Oreal Blackshaw. How much money was given to Bill Runningfisher. He told me he'd get back to me. By the way, he never did. But, I asked him to give me an approximation. Can you give me a ballpark figure? He only did for L'Oreal Blackshaw, and he said it was less than $50,000.
Oh.
That's what he said. I don't know how much to believe of what he said, though, because Michael A. Wood Jr. is a former, I wouldn't say retired. I think he was, the Baltimore cops had a very bad reputation, and Michael A. Wood Jr. Came out and told a lot of their secrets.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he's probably beloved among the law enforcement.
Yeah, he's probably not getting a pension from them.
Probably he's not getting a lot of love. But, there was a lot of questionable activity on behalf of Michael A. Wood Jr. that was exposed by one of his mistresses in an expose that we shared here on Mexican Crossing Lines with you. You can go back and check out our old shows to find that. But, Robin Gage was still connected to Sedef after Standing Rock. And here are some more of Robin Gage's commendation letter. This is the one that she got from President Trump. And it says pretty much the same thing that Sedef's letter does.
Yep.
There's Donald Trump's signature at the bottom. Here is her bronze certificate
Robin
for disaster service 2017
Gage.
President's Award. And I went back to listen. Let me show you some of the pictures on her page so you can see this is Robin Gage. You're like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah.
She goes on to work with Team Rubicon and Sedef. This, I'm sure that they probably had many occasions to talk about all that stuff about Kathleen Bennett, right?
Yeah, you would think so.
Maybe they even had more things that they remembered. They never certainly reached out to us to tell us about it. But here's some more pictures from her. And then, there was a van there that Duke showed a moment ago, Team Rubicon van, field operations van. Veterans are our passion. Disaster is our something. Disaster is our business.
Yeah.
Disasters are our business.
Disaster is our business.
And
well, are these people working
veterans
for
are
them?
our passion.
Oh, yeah.
And then next we have a Team Rubicon coin.
It looks like it's for a casino. Chip for a casino.
It looks like a chip from a casino, but they buy these and give them out to people for different operations.
Yeah.
This one says, these are very hard to get. I received this for being the logistics section chief for Operation Butterfly Effect Mariposa. This was my second op at LSC. Thank you, Robert. I see, and it says Team Rubicon Disaster Response.
Wow.
So, here are some of her pictures. Here's one with Michael A. Wood Jr. She never mentioned that she met him and hung out with Michael A. Wood Jr. I thought she was just a random veteran. But she was pretty high up the ranks there.
Yeah, and this was also at the time when the veterans were at Standing Rock. This is at the casino. She posted pictures, a whole bunch of them on December 10th. In fact, most of the pictures we have are from December 10th. And if you look at her Facebook page and just go down to when they first arrived at Standing Rock in like December 3rd or 4th or whatever it was, she didn't post any pictures until the 10th, and basically when they were leaving. So these photos we actually have are ones that were taken between the 4th and the 10th. And we pretty much know they were right around December 6th. So here's another one. And who's she with? Wesley Clark Jr. This is at a time where, Cindy had interviewed Wes Clark numerous times, and also had talked to Robin Gage. I mean, Robin Gage was willing to come here and testify for Kathleen, for her trial, and...
I know, but I asked him, one of the things that I asked every single one of the people that I interviewed about this case was, she was at the casino with her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Marion and Kathleen were at the casino together, and there had to be thousands of people that could have seen them.
Yeah.
Literally. And I'm sure there were, hundreds and hundreds of people taking photos, not to mention the fact that the casino itself had cameras everywhere. We had no luck getting the footage from the casino itself, but given the fact that it's practically owned by Phyllis Young, one of the people involved in all of this, I'm not that surprised that we couldn't get them to cooperate to hand over any of the footage that would have immediately exonerated this woman and allowed her and her mother to go home.
Yeah.
But Wes knew Robin Gage. Maybe they didn't introduce themselves formally. Maybe they didn't talk. Maybe they didn't. But I did ask him, did you remember any vets that might have been taking pictures that you could reach out to, who you met, who you friended, that you could ask, did you see this woman? Did you see her with her mom? Did you see this elderly Oglala Lakota woman with dementia? She was hard to miss.
Yeah.
It was hard to miss Mary Trujillo.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that, and I asked him if he remembered anything like that, to please reach out, to please let them know. He never told me he met Robin Gage.
No.
I had no idea from Robin Gage that she had either met and or hung out with Wes Clark or
Michael A.
Wood Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And she also took a picture here of Wawewedan, who is Clyde Belcourt of the American Indian movement.
Mm-hmm.
They were also involved in a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff, so it was interesting that she had a picture of him. And of course, she's got a picture of Phyllis Young.
Yeah.
There's Phyllis Young next to a bunch of other people.
Mm-hmm.
So here is a picture Robin Gage took of Jen Spaulding with Wes Clark Jr.
Yes.
And they are in front of some curtains. If you will see, right there behind them, there are some curtains pulled back. And I believe this is the area that was the medical area. There was literally a space that was created that was, cordoned off, that was sectioned off from the rest of the people so that they could put some cots back there and have some medical assistance for people that might need it. I interviewed one of the veterans that set it up.
Yeah.
I asked Wes if he had been in there, if he had looked in there, if he had been anywhere near it, and or remembered seeing Mary or Kathleen, because his word as a veteran, as one of the lead people out there organizing this event, would have been very important had he seen them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said no. And here I see a picture taken by Robin Gage of Jen Spaulding, a woman whose name he had mentioned to me, which I'm going to share a clip of here in a minute and remind you of where I heard her name mentioned before. She wasn't just taking a picture with Wes. She was also with Robin Gage.
Yeah.
She was one of the other witnesses in the Kathleen Bennett case. one of the witnesses I never got to interview. And Wes knew her too, met her too, and was taking a picture right in front of the area where Kathleen and Mary would have been.
Mm-hmm.
But he never told me about this.
Yeah.
He did tell me he met Jen Spaulding, but he didn't tell me he took a picture of her right there. And he didn't tell me that she was with Robin Gage. Had he mentioned that name, I would have known. Well, holy buckets. Those were the two witnesses in the Kathleen. Those are the witnesses that we found that said that they saw Mary and Kathleen. If they saw Mary and Kathleen and you were there, right there, in that same space with them, did you not also see Mary and Kathleen? I have a question about that. Here's the clip in which Wes brings up Jen Spaulding. Take a listen.
I was contacted by Sean Stone, Oliver Stone's son,
Okay.
who said he wanted to write a movie with me.
Okay.
1 month later, I get a call from a man named James Martinez. James Martinez says he got my number from a friend of mine named Nora Maccabee.
Okay.
When I called Nora and asked her yesterday where she knew James from, she said he was a friend of Sean Stone's. So the first question is, why would a friend of Sean Stone's go to a friend of mine to get my number when they could have gotten my number from Sean Stone?
Right.
So he became the person who got me involved with Standing Rock. He called me up and he said, I was friends with Russell Means and, I'm here to... He told me I needed to save the Lakota Nation. And he became my go-between with Phyllis Young.
Mm.
Phyllis Young I'd never talked to her without him calling Phyllis and connecting us.
Wow.
At first they wanted my dad out there. And my dad was like, fuck no. So, I told you all this story when we, did the interview back in January, how that month went.
Mm-hmm.
I think almost everybody surrounding me out there and in the leadership of Veterans Stand, this may sound crazy, is part of this Russian operation.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's crazy anymore.
Not only that, I think these people are the people who are going to pull off the proverbial Reichstag fire to put us under martial law through orchestrating a race riot in Flint, Michigan, in combination with a pipeline attack in the Dakotas.
I've been hearing about that in Flint for a while. Ever since I covered this story.
Remember I said I got death threats when I came back from Standing Rock?
Yes.
They were specific to Flint.
Wow. Wow.
And all those people I was out there with, like the people directly around me, I'm sure you're going to recognize these names. Evan Duke.
Yep.
Travis Biolette.
Yep.
Chris Dussing.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly Sedef Buyakataman.
Yep.
Jesse Elnicki.
Yes.
Mark Sanderson.
Uh-huh.
And someone I didn't meet personally out there, but somebody who was involved with this group named Nico House.
Wow.
Now, all of these fucking people have reached out to me since the Intercept article. And it's mainly to find out what I've known. I tell all of them, I think it's a fucking infiltrator, but I don't have proof.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, I think everybody's being used as part of an op.
Mm-hmm.
But, Cindy, just with what I can learn on Facebook, like I've learned the greatest way to find anything out is do the Google search, but do it from 2015 back.
Yeah.
But here's the other freaky thing. Every person out there in that leadership team had some backstory that connected them to me.
Sure.
So, Chris Dussing was supposedly a rifleman company commander in K4 under my dad's command during the war in Yugoslavia.
Wow.
Do you recognize the name Jen Spaulding?
That sounds familiar.
Jen Spaulding was the officer in charge for the Eagle Butte staging area.
Oh, yeah.
Jen Spaulding, when I met her, was, by the way, one of the first people I met when I walked into the fucking casino. She was sitting right outside that little fucking restaurant in a wheelchair with a fucking heart device on, telling me that she'd just gotten out of chemo, she had 6 months to live, and that she was in this state of affairs because of a brutal attack she'd suffered in the military where people kicked her in the head. I also suffered an attack in the military where I was kicked in the head.
Uh-huh.
Okay, anyway, so she was the head of the people down in Eagle Butte. And she had this story about being attacked by neo-Nazis when she was there. Mm-hmm. But what I've noticed is she drives all over the country. She's still alive and heading to Michigan. Now, when you look at her Facebook page, it says, all the places she's lived, like, Texas, Oklahoma, Carolinas, Georgia. Nothing about Michigan. But if you do a search of just her name, like in quotes, and, before, 2015 and earlier, the only shit that shows up about her online is A, that she's disabled, and claims to be a veteran, and B, some restaurant reviews for, like, Yelp on, like, fucking McDonald's and Arby's in Lansing, Michigan. Are you starting to see all the weird shit?
Yeah. Oh my
God. So this guy, Nico House, reaches out to me, I don't know, a week and a half ago. And he, like, do you want to talk about Tiger Swan? And I basically have told most of these people, dude, I'm backing the fuck off. I don't want anything to do with any of this. This is over my head.
Yeah.
But he wanted to talk to me. So I researched Nico House. Nico House on Facebook was the head of the student Bernie group in either North or South Carolina, one of those fucking, either North Carolina State or South Carolina State. Mm-hmm. Doesn't say he's a veteran on his Facebook. But if you search deeper online, he is a veteran. Okay. So why would you not admit you were a veteran on Facebook? And then his place of employment is a high-priced real estate company based in Miami that only sells real estate, super luxury real estate, in Manhattan and Miami. Huh. And this guy uses GoFundMes to go to the People's Climate Summit. And when I talked to him on the phone, he said, dude, because, con men, they can't help but fucking brag. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I was the first guy to turn everyone against Hillary when WikiLeaks came out. So then I was like, ding, 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 and I went back and I looked at every one of these people in this fucking group, to include, by the way, Victory Lundquist.
Really?
Who is another one of them.
Mm-hmm. That Nico House has been mentioned to me several times in connection with Ed Higgins by some of the other whistleblowers I've been talking to. And I had never heard that name before, and now I'm hearing it all the time.
Yeah, because they all met up at the People's Summit together, and then they all went to Flint.
Yeah. And
here's the thing. Did I tell you about Chris Dussing, that he has a Russian wife that he married so she could get a green card?
Nope.
Yeah, he's the commander of the vets on the Cheyenne River Res. And he told me last week that he was talking about, like, armed patrols around the pipeline. And I'm like, dude, what are you even doing looking at what's going on around the fucking pipeline, because it's full of fucking oil? You can't do anything. It's there. It's full of oil.
Yeah.
So why is he noting where the patrols are on the pipeline? You see what I'm saying? Like, there is a two-pronged terror attack that's, like, quite literally a false flag attack that's going to happen whenever Trump reaches that point when they're about to fucking put the cuffs on him, which may be in the next week, because they're all in Michigan now.
I know.
And they travel through Lawrence, Kansas a lot.
Yeah,
There's some kind of staging area for them as they move between Cheyenne River and Flint. But these people are all fucking connected. And by the way, Mike Wood has like $450,000 fucking dollars in multiple bank accounts that he never paid out to vets or water protectors or donated to the tribe or put into a legal trust or anything. He just kept the fucking money.
That's
it.
That's it, yes.
Okay. So there's a lot of information in there. But the bits and pieces that I wanted to focus on was the Jen Spaulding thing, saying that she was attacked by neo-Nazis. That she was going to Michigan. Remember, Aylin ended up in Michigan. Yep. Aylin Altinok. And then, of course, the mention of Nico House from Mi Casa Su Casa. Did you know Nico House has a Korean flag tattoo and speaks Korean pretty fluently? And that he's pro Kim Jong-un?
Yes.
Did you know that? And he's also he is also pro-Trump. He was one of those Bernie guys, Bernie bros, Bernie connected people that ended up going pro-Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Incidentally.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to point out those folks. I will be coming back to them. There's too much for me to cover in one show. And as you know, I got a late start tonight. So here we are.
Yeah.
Here's some stuff from Jen Spaulding's Facebook. There's her profile. And as Wes said, she's still alive.
Yes, she is.
You know, interestingly, somebody that told me that they were dying and as far as I know, is still alive, Maggie Day.
Oh, yes, yes.
She was one of those people. Just kept telling me, about to kick off at any moment.
Yeah.
And here is where I looked up Jen Spaulding on our witness list. And as you can see, this is actually an excerpt. I grabbed this, clipped it out of the witness list that I turned over to the attorneys in the Kathleen Bennett case. And right under Robin Gage is Jen Spaulding. Right there.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I heard this clip, I was going to use it because I was trying to make the connections to all the Flint people with Aylin Altinok and all that. And Jen Spaulding, I looked up and I was like, I said to him that sounded familiar. Why does it sound familiar to me? Well, I'd only ever heard it when Robin Gage gave me the names of the other witnesses. And there was one other woman. I didn't feel the need to bring her up because she's not on here, but I am looking into her now. But since they were the trial was canceled because they dropped the charges against Kathleen because they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel the need to go back to this witness list or think about interviewing those other witnesses because the trial wasn't going to happen. So that's why I had only remembered it briefly. I didn't, have a strong connection to it, but it did sound familiar.
Yeah.
And I found it and I was like, okay, now let's do the math, everyone. Okay. 3 people, all connected to Wesley Clark. Jen Spaulding, Robin Gage, and Sedef Buyakataman, all working together at the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock, all connected to this, also connected to this Team Rubicon disaster relief work. I'm not sure if Jen is also, but Jen is still connected in friendship to Wes and to Sedef.
Yes.
So I found this out by going back through Sedef's page and Wes's page and also his wife's page. Here's a picture that Sedef took with Wes's wife. And this is on December 23rd of 2016. Do you know what that day is, Duke?
Isn't that the day that, oh, that's when Kathleen got arrested.
Nope.
Her mother got taken.
That's when her mother got taken.
Yes.
Well, her mother was actually taken on the 17th. And in between the 17th and the 23rd, her family, Kathleen and Russell, who were, out in North Dakota trying to get their mom out of the hospital, called family members and then reached out to other campgoers like Josh Long and Ren Brown, witnesses in their case later, for help. And Josh contacted me because he had had recent contact with me.
That's right. It's the day he called
about
you.
Standing Rock.
On your birthday, yes.
So he called me on my birthday to ask for help for Kathleen and Russell and Mary. And I spoke to them for the first time on that date. Meanwhile, Sedef and Wes's wife were at Trip in Santa Monica. Looks like they were having a pretty good time.
Yeah, it does.
Here's another picture. This one is from January 7 of 2017. So that would have been right before the camp closed, right? And it's a picture of Wes and his wife by apparently Sedef Buyak Ataman. She took it. She says Sedef is with Wes Clark in Los Angeles, California, and she says late night concerts are the best. So she isn't simply some acquaintance he met. She's someone that has been to his home, that he has taken trips with, that he has hung out with, his wife with. Here is a picture from that same night where Wes's wife is with Sedef. And here Wes is in the picture with his own wife at that event at the Trip Santa Monica. And here is a picture of Wes and Sedef. And it is Sedef's birthday or near her birthday. And as you can see on the right-hand side in the comments, Robin Gage says, "Happy birthday."
Yep.
And then underneath that, you see Jen Spaulding's comment. "You're lucky girl. Lol. Mwah. Love you so much, beautiful." That doesn't sound like the comment of a person that met someone out at the camp one time or ran into them once. I mean, this sounds like the comment of a person that's buddies with you.
Yeah.
That has some kind of a relationship with you. Sedef Buyak Ataman. Sedef Buyak Ataman, neither Wes nor Sedef ever mentioned to me that they knew any of the witnesses. Were friends with any of the witnesses that were the only people to have been able to see Kathleen and Mary at the casino.
At the casino. And that's really important, too, is that we were searching. We were asking people who has pictures. The attorney was calling the casino and asking for footage, and they wouldn't give it to him. And so when we run across pictures like this where the actual place where Mary was at the casino was right behind those curtains, and you're taking pictures in front of it, it's like, why didn't you help us out months and months and months ago with this?
Well, I've been trying to understand that and thinking like there must be some misunderstanding on their part, but it's getting harder and harder to believe because, there were connections everywhere, including his connections to Cenk at TYT, because that is where Wes came from, right? But Sedef also has connections to Cenk at TYT. How unlikely would it be for all of these Turks that affiliated themselves with the Standing Rock movement to have some kind of pro-Erdogan, pro-Trump alliance with dictator Erdogan, anti-American agendas? it's concerning to me because I look at these folks and I look at what they purport themselves to be. What I've learned about the Young Turks is they're a bunch of phonies and frauds. When it came to reporting on the Kathleen Bennett case, they gave us an end run. And then Jordan Sheridan tried to throw the story to the wolves. Almost every organization and media group that had any contact with this story were also connected to the Young Turks and Jordan Sheridan, including Activate Now and Digital Smoke Signals, also tried to malign this reporter, our station, and Mary and Kathleen. And it seemed almost inconceivable that organizations and media groups and activists who were supposedly there for indigenous people's rights would so viciously attack indigenous women and an indigenous reporter telling you the story, the local story, to my state, to my region, not to Cenk, not to Sedef, not to Wes, not to any of these people. I know personally the governor of the state of North Dakota. I also know I've been to his house, I've hung out with his kids. This is a small state, and it happens to have a lot of people in it that Duke and I have known. Duke's been born and raised in North Dakota, knows Minnesota as a resident, and is for more than 20 years. This is our home.
It is very much.
These people are people that we have known. Chase Iron Eyes has gone to school with people that live here in Fargo, went to college with people, dated people that still live here. All of the people, all of the figures central to the Standing Rock movement have connections and ties and roots in this community. And many of them, like Tara Houska, don't really. They don't. But they pretend to. And y'all wouldn't know the difference because you just started paying attention to what's going on at Standing Rock, what's happening in North Dakota and Minnesota when Standing Rock came about. But for people like me that have been reporting on what's happening here in North Dakota and Minnesota for over a decade, this isn't new or news. This is a continuation. And what was really troubling to me was to see how it was treated in the media and how the media continues to treat it. And the people that are still on the hook facing 15 years in prison, like BJ Brennan Nastasio. That man is still on the hook. So I showed you that Sedef also has ties to Cenk. As you know, Jordan had ties to Cenk. You also know that the witnesses in this case not only went with Wes Clark to TYT to talk to Anna Kasparian. There was connections that we made to Truth Against the Machine, Jordan Sheridan, Z. Cohen, Chelsea Lyons, and almost every Standing Rock media group that did live streaming or reporting from Standing Rock that was created there. Okay? And they all basically ignored this story or tried to bury it. I think now I can understand why that was. But you remember when I said that it's very strange that Sedef is on her resume worrying about cleaning up the mess made by Michael A. Wood Jr. And Wes, and messaging appropriately after Standing Rock and the scandal of the money taken and the services not provided by those groups. Such that I suggested she needed a PR person. Well, apparently, and this was confirmed to me on the phone not too long ago by Wes himself, there was a PR person hired. Her name was Mcdonald. Here's a text I got from Wes Clark where he's telling me that he's texted these messages below with Michael A. Wood Jr. And in it, Wes acknowledges Seven is whipping up a press release on the money. The money.
Yep.
The issue of the money, where the money went. And he told me, Wes Clark Jr., that he was the one that raised the money to hire this PR person, Seven Mcdonald. He was the one that hired her. And there it is. So how did this woman that went out to Standing Rock, Seven Mcdonald, who was hired by Wes, who raised the money to hire PR to do this work with Seven Mcdonald, how was she involved in Standing Rock? Well, I'm going to get to that in a lot more depth in the future, but I just want to give you a taste, an idea of what this PR work was doing out there. Here's a post by Seven Mcdonald. Incidentally, what's the name of her daddy? What's Seven Mcdonald's name? Her daddy's name?
Country Joe McDonald.
And what was Country Joe known for, Duke?
Give me an F. Give me and it's 1, 2, 3. What are we fighting for? Don't ask me, I don't give a damn. The next stop is Vietnam. And it's 5, 6, 7. Open up pearly gates. Well, we're all gonna die. Whoopee, we're all gonna die. He was in Woodstock in 1969.
So, Seven does public relations because she's the baby of a
Rock
celebrity.
Star. Yeah.
Country Joe and the, what were they called?
The Fish. Country Joe and the Fish. Country Joe
Okay, I
McDonald.
thought you were going to say French fries. And they're talking about a picture of a bunch of coats, which Seven took to Standing Rock to give to people at Standing Rock. And Seven Mcdonald says to a woman named Winnie Wong, "Do you want me to send you the press release for something on Sunday?" Or actually, the amazing Desiree can share it. Desiree.
Yeah.
Desiree that she was referring to is made more clear to us in the next message response from Winnie Wong back to Seven Mcdonald, in which she says, Desiree Kane is our organizer. She's on that. We're also obviously working with Tulsi. That would be a reference to Tulsi Gabbard.
Yes.
So Desiree, and again, I just told you, Wes himself confirmed, and I have it recorded, so I will play it later in the future for all you hear, that he was the one that hired PR person Seven Mcdonald. And that she, as is stated here, is working with Desiree Kane. Desiree Kane is their organizer. And Seven says again here about Desiree Kane after Winnie Wong's comment that she is the organizer and that they are also working with Tulsi Gabbard. Seven says of Desiree Kane, she's working with me, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Thankfully, we already shared the love about you, meaning Winnie Wong. Okay, so I've made that clear? Everybody's with me on that?
Yep.
Can you scroll down further? Were there any more comments on that one?
Not
that
on
we
this one.
needed
This
to
is the
look
last.
at?
This is the last one.
Okay, go ahead and go into the next one. There's more comments on this same picture on which they just talked about Desiree Kane being the organizer working with Seven Mcdonald, the PR person hired by Wes Clark. And the comment here is from Wes Clark's wife, Anna Perry's Clark. And she says, glad you didn't take the fur. I'd have to stop taking your calls. So she takes calls from Seven. They speak. They're friends. And she says, but do stay safe and warm. And Anna Perry's Clark says again, and most importantly, thank you for everything you're doing. And Seven Mcdonald responds, it is so badass though. And then she says again, by the way, TC provided the perfect boots. I don't know who TC is. Anna does. And here is part of Seven's resume, which you found, in which she talks about her work. Can you read some of that for us?
Yeah, she's a celebrity strategist, award-winning journalist,
celebrities,
event producer, marketing, music supervisor, artist, and brand management. You know, and names a bunch of stuff down. Playboy, British Ellie Paper, Harper's Bazaar, the People's State of the Union.
What, woo! What is that? The last thing that she says there? Awake?
Yep.
A dream for Standing Rock? Are you effing kidding me? That piece of trash that was involved Mulaney, that featured Mulaney and Myron Dewey and meth-addled Dean Dedman and all of those phonies.
Yep.
That piece of trash, which I called
horrible.
the nightmare from Standing Rock, I did a show on this.
Yes, we did.
And the same PR person hired by Wes was involved in that.
Yep.
Well, he paid for it. He helped pay for that. And look what it says under here for 7 Mcdonald. Press and media field operations for Wes Clark Jr. Veterans stand for Standing Rock from November of 2016 to January of 2017. 3 months, she says. And then she said where? Standing Rock Reservation. Press releases, media outreach, and press and media field operations for veterans stand for Standing Rock. Deployment and Wes Clark Jr. Now, and this part is crucial.
Yeah.
She claims continues to work with Wes Clark Jr. on as needed basis. Media coverage included LA Times, New York Times, ABC, NPR Morning Edition, The Wall Street Journal, and Democracy Now.
Wow.
Look at all. Did you guys forget The Intercept? Wasn't your girl Desiree Kane working over there with The Intercept? Because if this person is connected to Evan McDonald's connected to Wes, so is Maggie, because she's Maggie's friend, and they both work PR together, and they both told me about how they brought those celebrities out to Standing Rock, and they were working with the celebrities and working on the PR. I just didn't know who paid for it.
Yeah.
And what kind of celebs? Here's her thing about Awake. Why don't you read that one, honey?
Yes, press marketing and social media consulting. Awake, a dream from Standing Rock. March 2017 to April 2017. Press and marketing for the documentary Awake, a dream from Standing Rock, secured press around premiere and film release including Hollywood Report, IndieWire, Reuters TV, etc. Wrote press release and media alert, secured Reddit AMA, celebrity strategy and outreach for premiere attendance and social media support. Liaison to Tribeca Film Festival 2017, press team and Getty Portrait Studio. Social media consulting, Facebook build out, including memes, celebrity outreach, memes, maintaining Facebook page, built and following to 9K in 2 months. Wow. Yeah, that did a pretty crappy job. I thought they couldn't even launch it when they did.
So she was the liaison. Look who was in there. Mark Ruffalo.
Yep.
Don't forget these names, people.
Yep.
Mark Ruffalo. Shailene Woodley. These are the same damn names Maggie was throwing around. Except that she missed some. She missed Max and his brother.
Yeah.
The twins. Carver. And she's got Shailene Woodley, Susan Sarandon, Ed Begley Jr., Francis Fisher, Kendrick Sampson, Oso Motley, Josh Epstein from the band Junior Media Coverage. She's also connected to the Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if she's responsible for helping Bill Runningfisher get a photo op with him. Remember Bill Runningfisher had a picture with him?
That's right.
Well, guess who organized that whole thing? It was 7 Mcdonald.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So, and here is her celeb connections. Well, it's none other than Jane Fonda and Francis Fisher. Isn't that interesting? And look, there's hashtag 7 Mcdonald.
Yep.
Isn't that, can you read that, please?
Yep. Make it a little bit bigger. Francis Fisher, big action to get 470,000 signatures to get jail reform in the ballot in November. And petition in person, reform jails, canvassing is fun with Jasmine Koenig Jane. Fonda, hashtag 7 Mcdonald, repost reform LA jails. Thank you at Jade Fonda, at Francis Fisher, and at Bonjonovic for hitting the streets with us for reform LA jails. Only 12 days left and a long way to go. Join us for an action or support of our effort by donating at, and they have some places to donate. So yeah, she was included in as a hashtag 7 Mcdonald.
Well, I'm going to tell people about 7 Mcdonald so much more in the future, but I knew all about her because of Maggie. I had heard that Maggie's friend, 7 Mcdonald, Maggie's friend, and she kept telling me, oh, this, you don't know about her. You don't know how much she's been doing behind the scenes for you. You don't know all the things that she's working on. You don't know what she's doing for Standing Rock. But 7, 7, 7 this, 7 that, 7 the other. And then, like, she called me and told me all sorts of weird things about how 7 and Maggie had uncovered this Russian connection to all of this stuff, and Russian spies were involved, and there was Russian collusion. And I'm like, are you off your meds?
Yeah.
At this time, this is even before I had looked into or had gotten any Cassandra Fairbanks research and investigating or reporting underway. And Maggie was telling me this. And check out this information that I have on Maggie. This is something that she sent to me, okay? And this is from the Bernie's Avengers group that she was in with Francis Fisher and Jordan Sheridan and Chelsea Lyons and Ed Higgins and Jay Ponte and who else? Scroll down. Chris, Josh, somebody, Lindsay, Carrie. There's phone numbers and they're very faint names on some of these. Chris Kantrowitz, okay.
All right.
And she shares with me down here that later on we should expose Jordan Sheridan and Chelsea Lyons as all being part of this group of people working together in this Bernie's Avengers group. As you know, many of those Bernie's people turned out to be Trump supporters later. I keep noting that because I find it very interesting how that went.
It is very much.
Here's another one in which she talks about Ed, who she was with on November 20th, okay? She was with a group of people that happened to be involved in, this kidnapping.
Yeah.
And Ed in particular, she talked about a lot, and she said she saved his life on the night of the 20th, which I thought was a very odd thing. And then here she says about Ed, Ed was gloating. So she was with him at the casino after the 20th, after they got shot with water cannons and rubber bullets and people nearly died. And she says about that night that Ed Higgins was gloating at the casino afterwards, saying, "Our team won." That would mean she was on that team with him, Maggie, the one working with 7, the people doing PR work for the Veterans Stand for Standing Rock. And she said, so this was an afterthought on Ed Higgins' part, she's speaking of. The fact that he said that our team won. And she says that afterthought was, pretty sure it was, she says, it was just gross. Of course, it was gross to begin with. Here's another one. And she's talking here about Lissa and Mulaney. And she says, keep scrolling down. That was a post about something that Mulaney said. But right below it, she said, I just spoke to Yane. Yane Indigo is one of those people that was connected to Ed Higgins and connected to, what's her name? Samira Khan.
Oh, yeah.
Samira Khan, the Russian television reporter who still works for Russian television. The place where Wesley Clark Jr. went and did an interview with Sean Stone, the guy that invited him out to Standing Rock that he just said, invited him out to Standing Rock. Maggie's connected to them too.
Wow.
And here's the last one in which someone here is, Victoria Sage is talking about Maggie, and she says about Maggie, and I think this was after we outed her on our show and people were talking about it. What Victoria says. Can you please read it?
Yes. Said, guys, come down. Guys, come on now before you get into pissing contests with strangers and dilute your energy when someone like Maggie Day posts attacks like you do. Your vetting of this attacks like this, do your vetting of the individual. She has a fake purchase Facebook page. It was created in 2012. Posts were not started on the account until November 26, 2016. Almost all posts are related to Standing Rock with a few other pipeline posts thrown in. So there are no family posts, no direct interactions with friends. The next question is that you should be asking yourself is why then is she defending the people she is defending?
Yeah. Well,
hi, Maggie Day, we see you.
Yeah, I do. I now see. And of course, she told me she told me, and Wes confirmed that she did go out to his house, not only to me, but to Josh and Ren, that Maggie Day and Seven both went to his house. This was during the time that we were investigating the case of Kathleen Bennett. And so, what do we have next, Duke?
This one.
Here's another connection to Wes and Cenk and Jimmy Dore.
Oh,
Jimmy
yeah.
Dore, as you know, is one of those people over there on TYT that keeps banging the drum saying, there is no Russian collusion. There is no Russian collusion. And our president, even though he was shamed after Helsinki into telling the country that he now has faith in his intelligence community, he still has very reticently stated that he believes that there was interference and will be interference by Russia. He continues to act as if Russia's actions have been sincere and have been good. There are a lot of people in this country worried about that. I am one of them.
Yeah.
I'm worried about our country being turned over to foreign powers like the Kremlin by people who are supposed to be protecting our nation. Like, I never thought I'd say this because, you know, nationalists in this country are usually racist, but damn, I'm a nationalist. I don't want another foreign country to take over America. I mean, y'all already did that to indigenous people once. We don't need another repeat.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
be like satellite puppets to Russia and other countries. This country doesn't need that, folks. I wanted to show you a little bit more about Sedef's dad, because as I told you, Sedef's dad went to the same school in Turkey as Sedef Buyak Ataman's dad went to in Turkey. And I mean, if you didn't think it was weird that it was a coincidental meeting that Aylin Altinok went out to Standing Rock with the veterans, and so did Sedef, and there was two Turkish women, and they just happened to meet up there, and then they all went to Flint, Michigan afterwards. And there was so many things that happened in Flint, Michigan, and so many people that she connected to, who she's been connecting to, and the fact that she now has turned up again, stalking Samantha Magdaleno and BJ Nastasio, a water protector that's still facing 15 years in prison for his involvement out at Standing Rock. I think that's fascinating.
It is.
I think it's fascinating that there are so many coincidental connections between these Turks, all these Turks. And I wanted you to look a little bit more closely at Sedef's dad.
Yep.
This is his Facebook page. You can go and check it out for yourself. It's very interesting. I didn't have a chance. I can't show you as much as I wanted to show you from his Facebook page today, but I want to give you a brief summary of what I found.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
So this is his post about natives. He posted this, and remember, this guy is Turkish. They're Turkish, so he's not Native American.
Yeah.
But he has some pretty interesting ideas about Native Americans, about indigenous people from this continent. Here's his post about how scientists have discovered DNA that prove original Native Americans were white.
Wow.
Somebody call indigenous people and also archaeologists. You're an archaeologist, dude. Can you please explain this nonsense to me?
It is nonsense. It's basically nonsense, and it's like, it's
Who
been
says stuff like this?
well, white supremacists. Actually, they're usually supremacists who are trying to stake claim to land that's been stolen from indigenous people. It's been a common practice of white scientists and white people basically claiming their heritage and land to live on after they've exterminated the indigenous people that live there. This is part of a long history of white people trying to claim that native people actually have no right to this land because they basically came from Turkey or they came from China, that they aren't people of this continent. They aren't Nikan Tlanka. They aren't. They're just white people who immigrated over. So that's part of what this is about. It's usually people who are very much supremacists and don't actually study science.
Well, yeah, that's true, and it's strange that he has these ideas about natives. Can you look at that comment he made at the bottom there?
Yeah.
He said, "I think this, of course, is translated, and the translation does not always come out the best, but it says there, I think the gift are trying to take care of the Indians. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he says down there, can you read that, honey?
I'll try.
Yes.
Yes, okay, there we go, I got the thing.
Unilinear and people were two separate tribes from the same area, both in the Turkish lonely country, and the pure Turks, who were not involved in the Black Sea region, while the unilingular were mixed with other races, at least one hybrid race.
Yeah.
Can you explain what the hell he's talking about?
Hybrid race. It's
Go back to it because you're going to read more on there. There's a person that says, we saw this mummy himself in the U.S., Philadelphia, in the UPenn University Museum, thanks to my daughter. He studied genetics and anthropology there. He said that the genetics of the genetics is covered with the Kailara of the Caucasian Turkish people. Also found that Kafir DNA is on the woman. This is proof that it can be Turkish. He was barely brought in from China for a short time in USA to Philadelphia. So this person here is claiming that his daughter, who studied genetics and might have had a sex change, I don't know what happened there, and studied anthropology at UPenn, confirmed that there was Caucasian Turkish DNA in the Native American woman.
Wow.
The one in the article, and that proves that the Turks are Indians, and that the Turks are that the Native Americans that came from this continent, my ancestors, are Turkish.
Yep. Yeah, they're from the Caucasus Mountains. In fact, the Caucasus Mountains is where they when the anthropologists were doing the classifications of mankind, as they called it, they came up with Caucasoids, which you're Caucasian. That's where it comes from. It comes from the Caucasus Mountains because they found a large Neanderthal skull, and they said, obviously, this is a white person. This is the origins of the white people. And then, of course, it was found in the Caucasus Mountains, which became Caucasian. All the other definitions of race aren't linked to a human body found in a specific area. So they have Negroids and Mongoloids, and then later Australoids. And you're supposed to fit into all those four categories. But what they're saying here is that they're saying that this Indians are actually from the Caucasian race, so they're white. So there's indigenous people of this continent are basically white people, and they're claiming Turkey. And when you do archaeology, it's kind of like a forensic work. If you have something that's disturbed or touched by a lot of people or moved around a lot, you're going to have contamination. And when you're doing testing of things, there's so many things come into question of trying to authenticate something like this. And I don't trust anything they're saying. And it looks like they have some YouTube video you can go watch and see some more of these lies. And you can go down those rabbit holes if you want to. But it's all fake.
You're an anthropologist.
Yeah.
You can speak to this, right?
Oh, it's fake. This is fake. This is definitely fake anthropology.
So, but this guy is an academic. I'm having a hard time. He's an engineer.
Well, some of the biggest academics have always argued for white supremacy. The academics actually created the system of white supremacy that defines you. So it's like they're in the same science field as the people who have been trying to eliminate you from first contact.
Good point. And I'm not saying that Sedef herself espouses these views that her dad espouses, because that's not necessarily true at all. But I did want to point out that we should look more closely at Sedef's dad and how they are all, maybe, if not, I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but if their thoughts are similar, what are his thoughts? What's behind him? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here is another post that Kaya Buyak Ataman made about Melania Trump and Trump dancing, and this is from the inaugural, is it the inaugural dance? Or
it looks like January 20th, 2017.
Oh, yeah, okay, it is from the inaugural dance, okay, sorry. It says, Donald J. Trump dances with his wife Melania to My Way by Frank Sinatra at the Liberty Bell after telling the crowd, "We did it."
Yeah.
And he posted this picture, and it's public, and it seems like he is celebrating the win. And I can tell you from going on his page that he posted prior, and this is a post from November 19, 2016. That would have been prior to him being elected as president, okay?
Yeah.
I won't read the whole thing, but it says, "Who is Donald?" And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Can you please take off that screen? Doesn't have anything to do with that. He goes on and on and on about Donald. Can you put the Donald Trump thing back?
Sure.
He's talking about Donald Trump in here, and he tells stuff about him when he was born, how old he'd be on election day, his height and weight. I don't know how it says from the internet he is 6'2" or 6'3" and weighs between 109 and 200 pounds. He actually posted it.
Wow.
And then later on, it goes on to say that his doctor said that he was in good health.
Yeah, good enough.
And then he talks about all of the wives, and it's like he says that he likes to marry beautiful and successful women. And I'm like, successful at being rich or being supermodels, or like successful at what specifically? Being connected to Trump money? I'm not sure what that means, but he obviously is a very big Trump supporting, fawning over the Trump man fan.
Mm-hmm.
As a Turk connected to Sedef Buyak Ataman, who's connected to Cenk and Wesley Clark and the veterans stand for Standing Rock. What? What? I'm confused. Am I the only one that's confused by this? Maybe Sedef Buyak Ataman does not talk to her dad about how much he loves Trump.
Yeah.
Because this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I'm not going to keep on reading all of this, but it is so ridiculous. It has, and this is part of it, that all of his different empires, I guess, steaks, wines, modeling agents, airlines, blenders, menswear, bicycle races, world-class beauty contests, and many other things.
Wow.
And then he has 31 buildings in his name. These are all things that you didn't know about Donald Trump. There's at least 12 Trump towers and 6 Trump plazas and 11 Trump golf courses. This is all on the stuff posted by Sedef Buyak Ataman's dad about Trump, encouraging people to get to know him more. And he says, Trump knows the people. He knows the folk. He's a blue-collar billionaire.
Right. Blue-collar billionaire. Mm-hmm.
What the hell does that even mean?
Means you work in the factory every day and you make those widgets just like the other workers, but you own the company.
Trump is the Babe Ruth of career achievements.
Oh, boy.
What the hell? What does that mean? I think Trump is the Charlie Manson of business. I'm just going to make stuff up. I mean, we could just like make it up, I guess, and put it on a thing. And then, So clearly the guy's a Trump supporter. And next here, I want to show you what he is a publisher as well. This is the Turkish Forum, of which he is the president. It is a media group. It is a media in Turkey, okay? That we translated this into English. And this particular article talks about how Turkish descent is the root of the Indians. Indians, Native Americans, indigenous people of this continent are actually from Turkey. Mm-hmm. They are the real Indians. Turks are the real Indians. Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Some Turks think that they're the ones that have the real DNA from the Caucasus Mountains connected to the Indians, which are actually Europeans, which are actually white people. Okay? Crazy.
Yeah, very crazy.
Craziness. Here is a letter, or is it? It's from I think their website. It talks about the Turkish Forum. This is his organization, Sedef Buyak Ataman's organization, and her dad's organization, because yes, it's theirs. This is not that old. I didn't find the Turkish Forum on her resume anywhere, and I wondered why she wouldn't want it on there.
Yeah.
Can you scroll that up so I can show you where it talks about her? If you keep going, it says advisors to the president. It says board of directors, Dr. Kaya Buyak Ataman, president. And Sedef Buyak Ataman is the director of media promotion right there.
Okay.
She's the director of media promotion for Turkish, what's it called? Turkish Alliance, Turkish Forum, and World Turkish Alliance. Go all the way to the bottom there, and you can see at the end of the letter, it says, respectfully, Dr. Kaya Alp Buyak Ataman, the president of the Turkish Forum. Mm-hmm. If you don't know about what the Turkish Forum is, I'm going to have to dive deep and teach you a little bit. Huh. Remember, Sedef is the director. What did it say she's the director of? Go down further. Oh, wait, it's right there. Sorry. It says director of media promotions.
Yes. Yes.
Media promotion for the Turkish Forum. Director of media promotion for the Turkish Forum. Here's a little bit more about this man, Kaya Alp Buyak Ataman. And I wanted to show you a little bit more about him before I tell you more about the Turkish Forum and what it's involved in, and how Sedef and her dad are both involved in it. As you can see on that letterhead that's from not too long ago, I think that's from 2012, this is her involvement in this organization, which she did not put on her resume for some odd reason, which I cannot understand, because she's got other, foreign media work on her resume, but not this particular thing, which I think is kind of important.
Yeah,
I mean, and her dad's in it too. Like, why wouldn't you want to tout that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because of the stuff he puts on his Facebook? Because I know it's kind of embarrassing that he is got these extremist views about Native Americans and their blood and their DNA and their origins.
Mm-hmm.
But he also is anti-Semitic. I mean, here's some of the posts that he has about how he thinks the Ashkenazi Jews are not the Jews of, you know, the Jews that you know.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got so many of these really weird beliefs, replacing Semitic Judeans with what now? You moved too fast for me. And Torah with Turkic Jews and Talmud. And there's more. Here's another one. It says new genetic research confirms Justler-Khazar theory. And then below that, we have Ashkenazi self-styled Jews are not the descendants of the ancient Israelites. So we have a variety of these different kinds of posts on his page.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you a peruse of that. He also has these weird posts that are you would think that they seem to indicate that he's kind of a feminist, but it's in this kind of sick, dirty old man way where he's like, why would you want women to be able to wear hijabs? Because you can't look at their boobs then, you know? And here's a weird post about that where he's got basically the, you know, hijab versus the bikini girls there. And if you go all the way down to the bottom in the comments, there's some pretty raunchy comments about the virgins, you know, and the 72 virgins and Muslims.
Oh,
and,
boy.
yeah, it just gets worse from there. But, or perhaps it's about how they have anti-immigrant views. I don't know how he comes up with this, but he posted this about the wall. You want to read that, honey?
Sure thing. Let's see. It says, and people are complaining about a wall expense. California, largest insane asylum in the world. Interesting that LA Times did this. Whether you are a Democrat or Republican, you should be of great interest to you. Just one state. Be sure and read the last part. Try 3 times. This is only one state. It doesn't open your eyes. Nothing will from the LA Times. 40% of all workers in LA County, 10.2 million people, are working for cash and not paying taxes. This is because they are predominantly illegal immigrants working without a green card. Donald Trump was right. 95% of warrants for murder in Los Angeles are for illegal aliens. 75% of people, the most wanted in Los Angeles, are illegal aliens.
This is
not true.
This is all propaganda.
Yeah.
It's evil and it's super racist.
Yeah.
It is super racist. I am really offended by what this man is posting, and he didn't post it that long ago. If you look on the post, it was posted July 5th.
So it's only like a month. Not even a
the
month
day
ago.
after the 4th of July.
Yes. And it's all full of lies.
And it's full of
everything in there is a lie.
Disgusting, racist lies. I've showed you what this man is about. I've tried to give you a sprinkling of posts of his own words to give you an idea of what this man is about. He doesn't just have a love of extremist views. He shares them in his publication. And guess where his publication goes? Who reads and views and has direct contact with his publication? It's none other than Borat, who is the son-in-law of Erdogan. And in a WikiLeaks documents that has a bunch of emails called Borat's Box, which shows all of the emails of the people that are in his messages, you can find both the names and emails of Sedef Buyakataman and her dad. And it has to do with these donations. Here you can see Sedef's name, Sedef M. Buyakataman, $500 donation there, Istanbul, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is
There it is.
translated. WikiLeaks was in Turkish in the WikiLeaks document. And here it is again. You can see this time, for some reason, I wasn't able to get it to do that on the other one. I tried to make it
There's
look
enough right there.
orange so people could find it quick. She made another $500 donation. Why all of these people, many of them in the look at all of the people in the United States. These are presumably all American Turks in America that are giving money for donating for this cause, which I'm about to show you, that, Sedef's dad was promoting in the Turkish forum, that information which was going directly to the son-in-law of Erdogan. And that, I think, is pretty significant, because there's some reason why they were sending donation lists to the Turkish government via emails, including Erdogan's son-in-law.
Yeah.
Here is another portion of the WikiLeaks. You can see this is where we took it from, and this is what the Turkish news was talking about in regards to this fundraising that you see Sedef gave $1,000 to.
Yep.
It was for the Murat Reis, the Razorback submarine, for a submarine they were trying to purchase.
They're purchasing a submarine.
Yes, and let me tell you why.
Yeah,
it
why?
symbolizes decades of U.S.-Turkish friendship, which will be on display at the Arkansas Inland Maritime Museum, AIMM for short, thanks to the efforts of and the members of the Turkish Forum. The Turkish Forum, Sedef Buyak Ataman and her dad wanted to buy a submarine.
Wow.
We all live in a Turkish submarine, a Turkish submarine, a Turkish submarine. And Dr. Kaya Buyak Ataman, the president and founder of the Turkish Forum, stated, quote, you can read that, dude.
Our partnership with the city of North Little Rock and the Arkansas Inland Maritime Museum is bringing the Murat Reis Razorback submarine back to the United States in order to develop a Turk-American friendship museum. And it's a cornerstone to the overall objective of the Turkish Forum. Really?
And then, you should also know, I think Wes's dad lives in Arkansas.
Oh.
I'm not sure if it's in Little Rock, but I think it's in Arkansas.
Okay.
Next, I wanted to show you the rest of what it says there. You want to read that?
Yeah, and the statement made by the Dr. Buyakataman, I can't see his
Dr. Buyakataman. It's like this. It's Buyak.
Buyak?
No, Buyak. Ataman.
Buyak Ataman.
Like if you're saying Ottoman, but
Buyak
Ataman.
Ataman.
Yeah.
Explains the Turkish Forum worked hard, hand in hand with the city of North Little Rock I've got to make this bigger. I can't read those little words.
The Arkansas Inland Maritime Museum,
Okay.
from the beginning of this effort, which started roughly 2 years ago, to secure the approval and funding necessary to make this project a reality.
For the most part, the USA relations were handled by NLR AIMM, and the Turkish relations were managed by the Turkish Forum with appropriate overlap when necessary.
The Turkish relations were managed by the Turkish Forum with appropriate overlap when necessary. Remember, this is part of Barat's Fox, and this are emails going to the son-in-law of the dictator Erdogan.
Okay, wow. Having a lasting symbol of the over 50 years of friendship, our two great countries are on display in the heartland of America. Is a source of pleasure for the Turkish community worldwide. Watching our new friends from Arkansas learn about admired Turkish culture and history in the process has been added to benefit to this effort. The Turkish
Has
Forum
been an added benefit.
been an added benefit to this effort. The Turkish Forum, established by Dr. Kaya Alp
Buyak
Buyak
Buyaka Ataman.
Ataman, is an internet-based U.S. tax-exempt 501c3. Really, internet-based. It's a 501c3 organization with roots deep into the Turkish countries in every continent, in every country, focused on further enhancing the Turkish lobby through education.
The Turkish lobby.
Turkish lobby through education.
The Turkish lobby.
Through collective campaigns.
The Turkish lobby.
And the distribution of information.
The Turkish
lobby.
Forum.
This project is the first step in the Turkish Forum's long-term plan of developing.
And Sedef Buyakataman is the director of media promotions for the Turkish Forum, which is in favor of the Turkish lobby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. I don't know about that.
Did you read the last part there?
Yeah.
Did you finish reading it?
It's
This
right
project is the first step in the Turkish Forum's long-term plan of developing. Did you read that?
Mm-hmm.
An Ataturk World Peace Center for learning, in addition to our effort in helping to strengthen the Turkish lobby and Turkish economic and trade opportunities
in the
USA.
Exactly.
And I believe that Erdogan's son-in-law is now going to be the Treasury guy.
Oh,
so
really?
He'll be dealing on trade with Trump.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Check my math on that, kids. Go check the math
God.
on it.
Oh, my
but
God.
that's why I think this is important.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, do you care who's going to be making these deals with our country? And what is behind them and what they are doing? I do.
Wow.
Okay. So remind people what the relationship with Erdogan and Trump is now, because they became a thing. Erdogan and Trump were not a thing, but he's cozying up to all of the despots and dictators around the globe, including Kim Jong-un and Recep Erdogan.
Yeah.
Here is the article.
This is a fist bumping, right?
This is about the fist bumping. Remind them what this is about, honey. Tell them.
This is where Trump has met with another dictator. You know, surprise, surprise. And in this picture, you know, and then this should have gotten a lot of people outraged, but it's actually showing he's fist bumping the Turkish dictator. You know, and you know, it's they say that you want to talk about to what extent allies are comfortable with Trump as a person, a strongman leader. What we saw at the G20 summit, that meeting, see now the NATO and Putin meeting is very visible suggestion. He said, to make the fist bump unattractive and disturbing to people, it's a universal sign of a way to go, good job, said co-host Gayle King. So it's really U.S. President Donald Trump and Turkish President Erdogan in the NATO summit in Brussels, Belgium, July 11th, 2018. So it wasn't that long ago. And again, it's like he's cozying up to another dictator, and he did this a while ago. You know, so it's he's doing it in Korea. He's done it, you know, to Putin, and here he is with the Turkish. You know, we have to call him a dictator. We have to call him a dictator because that's what he is. You know, when I was younger, you know, I used to didn't know much about Turkey. You know, but I know the Kurds were basically exterminated in their country, and this man represents that sort of killing. And we have what we call as our interest in Turkey. We have a big Air Force base. We have a base where we can stage weapons and planes so we can go bomb other people in the middle of Europe and the Middle East and all those places. It's a staging area for us, what it really is. So him fist bumping this guy is like, he's cozying up to another place to be able to start the wars.
Yeah, and he also cozied up to the dictator in the Philippines. I mean, he literally is making friends with all the wrong people. And lying to our country about it. We know that the Russians hacked into the 2016 elections, have a propensity to do so in the current elections. And our president isn't really acting like he's very concerned about that. In addition to which, he is still denying that it is Russia and Russia alone that acted in doing that. And it's possible that there were other countries that got involved in the hacking. It's possible that other countries have been involved in other ways in working with this administration for the wrong reasons. I would definitely keep an eye out on these folks because their dealings are very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Let me show you this Razorback.
Fun.
This submarine that Kaya Buyak Ataman helped to raise money for to bring to the United States to the Arkansas Inland Maritime Museum. Here he is with the curator of the museum standing on the back of the submarine.
Wow.
And he looks like he is super happy.
Yep.
What's the name of the museum director, honey?
I don't remember.
It's right at the top. All you have to do is pull down the thing and it'll tell us. It says Greg Zahner. So here he is with Greg Zahner. He made friends with this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're, he's tagged him in the post. And here's another picture to prove to you. Why don't you read that for me?
Yes. Oh boy, it's all in caps.
Mm-hmm. Not all of it.
Okay. I went to see the historical and touristic...
On August 8th of 2013.
Okay, August 8th of 2013. So it's a while ago.
Yeah.
I went to see the historical and touristic sections of the North Little Rock and the neighboring city Little Rock, both cities located on each side of the Arkansas River. It was interesting and different than other cities. Later in the day, I went to see the museum again. It was impressive to find out the education program they established under Mrs. Allison Hiblong, who I had a picture with on this pages. Many visitors from all over the America
I like how he spells
America
with a K.
Yeah. Came and go during my stay at the museum. I had dog tags made for me, same as in the Navy. It was exciting. Greg Zoner, the director of the museum,
and my good friend
showed to me what was behind the scene.
Entire blueprint and all technical instructions of the submarine, as transferred from last Turkish commander of ship, was categorized and used to build aging sections of the sub. Some decks completely rebuilt, same machinery as well. Then he took me to lower portion of the administrative tagboats. It was difficult to believe and describe what I see.
Yes.
A complete factory was set up to do the necessary replacements and all repairs to this aging submarine. It was an expensive and dedicated effort which may not be possible in any other place. Murat Reis, Razorback, is going to live forever with its Turkish and American flags are high up each and every day. While I was there, I witnessed the first time working of the engines without battery power. They were replenished and first time blowing of its horn after the necessary compressor power and repairs. Our submarine will be ready for service, just like its younger days and during surrender of Japan. The night we celebrated with Major Patrick Hayes and Director Greg Zahner. That night we celebrated with Mayor Patrick Hayes and Director Greg Zahner, the latest accomplishment and success of the museum. Dinner was delicious. Tomorrow, Georgia, here I come.
Wow.
So he gave us all the details of going and visiting the
excited.
Razorback. Here's some more pictures. Here he is with the mayor and the director of the museum having dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrating the successful project and operations.
Yes.
And they're just having a great old time.
Yeah, and here he is with the museum
director. Inside of the museum, I'm assuming.
Yeah, looks like it.
And so, next, I have a little video. Oh, this is a post by Sedef about her submarine.
I'll have to see how my submarine is doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
June 3rd, 2014, she posts from Plainfield, Illinois. I'm off to see how my submarine is doing. And her dad says,
say hello to Greg and Pat from me, also their museum manager, Allison Hanem. You are going to have a good time with old friends.
mm-hmm, they're old friends.
Yeah, I guess.
Here's a little video about the Razorback. Hope you like it.
See if they bring it up.
You're watching Channel 7 News Nightside.
Okay, so maybe it is a little odd to see a submarine here in Arkansas, but it hasn't taken long for it to become a fixture along the Arkansas River. In tonight's All About Arkansas, Steve Powell visits North Little Rock's Inland Maritime Museum to tell the story of its star attraction, the USS Razorback.
Here she is, all 311 feet 7 inches of her. The USS Razorback is 63 years old, hundreds of miles from the closest salt water. This is semi-retirement in what is likely her final port of call. It's been quite a journey. She was born here in the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, 1943. One of several Vallejo-class submarines urgently put to sea at the height of the Second World War. Commissioned in the spring of '44, she joined the fighting in the Pacific. Greg Zahner is a former submariner himself, now director of the Maritime Museum here. He's proud of the Razorback's war record.
We know she won 5 battle stars during the war. They did have a specific mission, and that was basically to sink Japanese merchant ships and warships.
The Razorback did just that. Full torpedo room made stalking enemy prey devastatingly effective. But in war, sometimes the hunter becomes the hunted.
We had 288 submarines in World War II. 52 we lost with about 3,500 men. During the war, the submarine force had the highest casualty of any group in any military. They lost 25% of their crews. And normally when a submarine went down, everybody went with it.
And wartime crew levels usually meant more men than boat.
Usually around 99 guys. There's 74 beds on board, so there's typically hot racking, which means 3 guys would share 2 racks.
Cramped doesn't even begin to describe it. No wasted space here, even if it meant sleeping on your torpedoes. While World War II began before she was built, she was there at the very end, one of 12 subs in Tokyo Bay when MacArthur, aboard the USS Missouri, accepted the Japanese surrender.
Let us pray that peace be now restored to the world, and that God will preserve it always.
On the 3rd of March, 1962, the command...
The shooting war was over, but the Cold War had just begun. And again, Razorback was there, watching and listening. By the beginning of the 70s, U.S. naval designs and technologies made most war-era subs obsolete. The Razorback seemed destined for demolition.
She was scheduled to get scrapped.
Rescue came from a most unlikely place. The Turkish Navy saved her from literally sinking into oblivion. The NATO ally kept her at work for over 3 decades. That explains the curious spelling throughout. Eventually, even the Turks felt she'd seen enough. In 2002, the museum here once again saved her from the scrap heap. She's still in remarkably good shape, with all the bells and whistles. And maybe even now, with a little help, she could still serve.
It would need actually very little done to it. We would have to put batteries back on it, put the props back on it.
But there will be no more tours of duty, just a duty to do more tours. She's a proud old lady worth seeing. Just to imagine what it must have been like all those years ago and all those fathoms below, at a time when America needed her most. Steve Powell, All About Arkansas.
And the museum is open to the public for tours of the Razorback. Among the visitors are former submariners who served aboard the vessel. There are now only about a dozen survivors left from the Razorback's time during the Second World War. And if you've not had a chance to check it out, I advise you to do so because it is pretty interesting.
I think it's pretty interesting too.
It's like, what the heck is going on here? I don't know what's going on. This is gonna be like, what? What?
There's a submarine in Arkansas.
And the Turkish Navy came in and saved this submarine, and it's landlocked in the middle of Arkansas,
and the Arkansas Inland Maritime Museum saved it.
And
But
all they have to do is put props on and give it some
Sedef
batteries and go back.
Buyakataman's dad
Oh
is
my
the
God!
one that helped raise the money. The Turkish Forum helped raise the money, and they sent the donor list to the Turkish government.
Yes.
They shared the donor list with the. Go look in the WikiLeaks. Let me show you. Here's another WikiLeaks. What was the last WikiLeaks one? Show them the last WikiLeaks.
Let's see,
one.
where was it? I was in the other scene. The last.
Because I don't think you showed this. If you type in Kaya Buyak Ataman, it brings up 35 results. So, and if you type in Sedef, you're going to find a lot of results too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, go look. It's connected to the United States and Turkey and relations between the two. And Sedef's dad's in there. Wow. And so is Sedef.
Mm-hmm.
Connected to this very thing. Connected to, I mean, I'm not saying Sedef is, but he definitely is. He's definitely connected to this stuff. Let me show you. This is from a Facebook page. So this is an actual concern I had never heard of before, but there are people concerned with Turkish people recruiting Native Americans to ISIS. Have you heard about this?
No, I've not heard of this.
Apparently, there are Turks that believe that native indigenous people of this continent would be gullible, recruits for ISIS. And so there's this actual page on Facebook called Turkey, Stop Recruitment of Native American Indians into ISIS. I had never heard of this, but it's actually a thing.
It is.
And so it's interesting when I see Turks out at Standing Rock, connected to Native Americans, and all of this weird talk that Sedef's dad is saying about Native Americans, like his views on Native Americans and how he claims them as Turks. And, it's a little weird given that there is a concern. There is a thing. I'm not saying that that's for sure what he's doing. I'm saying that is a concern that people have, that Turks are doing this. And here we have some Turks that are very close, some very interesting connections to Native American movements and things, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
And we know for a fact that Kaya Buyak Ataman is friends with a member of a extremist party in Turkey, the MHP, otherwise known as the Nationalist Movement Party, which is anti-Kurdish. Ismet, if you can see down in his friends there, that's right, just keep going down. You can see Sedef is one of his friends, and he's got that other guy there, and the other guy right there. Ismet Buyakataman. Ismet Buyakataman. Okay? It sounds and looks similar to Sedef's name, Buyakataman. Okay? And it looks like it's spelled the same way. Ismet is the highest ranking official, except for the president of the party, in the MHP, the Nationalist Movement Party, a party which is a super far-right, ultra-nationalistic, and very skeptical of Europe. They are also partnered with the AKP party, which is the Justice and Development Party. That is the party of the dictator Recep Erdogan. Okay. So, they're the party in power. They're the party with the dictator. And this party, Ismet's party, is a very anti-Kurdish, very far-right, ultra-nationalist party, which is partnered with Erdogan's party.
Okay.
Okay? The AKP party. So he's allied with the dictator. And Buyak Ataman's dad is friends with him on Facebook.
Wow.
He's like the leader dude of that party. Put it up again. Show it. There he is. Recep Buyakataman. You can go look for yourself. Go look at who that guy is. He is the second to the president of the party. Okay? In Turkey.
Wow.
Of this extremist party. Make of that what you will, but you should see these connections and know that they exist. Okay? And look at some of the other posts that Kaya has made. Why is this important? I just told you that this party that Buyakataman's friend, Ismet, is the second highest ranking official in, is anti-Kurdish. And here is an article posted by Kaya saying that, and this is about the YPG, which is the People Protection Units. They're not a political party. They are otherwise known as the Syrian Democratic Forces.
Okay.
These are indigenous populations that are in the center to the Turkish region. Kaya seems to show a disdain for the YPG, the Kurdish people, which would be in line with the ideas of Ismet and his party, and Erdogan and his party. Okay. So that's important to note as we see some closeness to a dictator, a Turkish dictator's party, and Buyakataman's, Sedef, and her dad.
Mm-hmm.
They're also looking like they align on ideology, as per the post here, which shows that, they're getting water and power from Assad. Now, I don't know if this article information is true, that the Assad regime is giving the YPG water and power. But this article seems to make everyone, there's more angry faces, as you can see from the post down there, than there are anything else. So this is something that other people on his page also dislike. And also, you should note that not only does Kaya seems to, and Ismet, have a disdain for the YPG, so does Erdogan. He has been bombing the crap out of the YPG.
Okay.
Okay? Here's another post about the schools that have just been made available by the French to people from the YPG. And they're comparing the people from the YPG to the PKK, which is the what they consider to be a terrorist group. What Erdogan considers to be a terrorist group. Here is, it's like saying that Muslims are ISIS.
Okay.
Like this guy is trying to conflate two different groups as being the same as terrorists.
Okay.
And here he's put an article up about how YPG are terrorists. YPG, and he says /PKK, suffers heavy blow in Turkey abroad in May. Turkish security forces neutralized 280 YPG/PKK terrorists last month. He calls them terrorists.
Wow.
He posts a link. He thinks these people are the same and that they're both terrorists. Here is an article from his Turkish forum. This is in his publication that says, "Why are not superpowers sharing YPG?" And he is talking again about the YPG and the PKK basically essentially being the same thing and being terrorists.
Wow.
Check it out for yourselves. Here's an article from the Turkish forum saying, "Help Trump YPG district Kesti." And this article is talking about how the U.S. president ordered the State Department to freeze $20 million in aid to rebuild the areas controlled by the YPG in cooperation with U.S. and Syria, supported by the international coalition. If you don't like the YPG, the fact that Trump is freezing aid in Syria that would help fix these areas with U.S. armies, that would seem to make him happy. That Trump is doing that because it seems to signal some kind of agreement or alliance. I mean, it's definitely going to make Erdogan and the MHP party happy, and anyone that hates Kurds.
Yes. Wow.
Just so you understand why that's important. And these are all from his own publication. Now, let me show you a post that Kaya did about Standing Rock. He did this post about Standing Rock on November 25th, in 2016. Click here to support veterans for Standing Rock No Dapple by Wes Clark.
Yeah.
And it's Wes Clark's GoFundMe.
Wow.
So, let's see if this gets any closer. Next, we have the Turkish Forum Standing Rock article. Here it is, Kaya Standing Rock article. Turkish Forum. There's a Turkish Forum. No, you don't have that one?
No.
Okay, well, there was an article that was posted in the Turkish Forum on Standing Rock. It was in the Let's Talk Turkey folder. There you go.
There it is.
There it is, the Turkish Forum. You do have it.
I did have it. Just
and
on
it
the
says,
spot.
we are inspired, friendly, and we have been involved in the 7 American laboratories. I don't know what that means. It says, Turk asked the Red relevant, and we are one of America supporting them. North Dakota statement and Standing Rock Red release. I'm thinking that press is red. Press release bank, and I don't know what that means. Human resistance, missing from military. Scroll down. And it says more. Veteran Standing Rock. Veteran Stand for Standing Rock. So this is specifically about the Veteran Stand for Standing Rock. Sunday, December 4 at 12. Standing Rock Indian Reservation, Cannonball, North Dakota. Mahdi and Manvi, support yourself. The footnote, American Obama legislation, blah, blah, blah. There's a picture, and underneath that, I can't read underneath that because it doesn't go further. I don't know. Does it? Where evil resides, veterans deploy to Standing Rock to engage the enemy, the U.S. government. Does it have anything further below? Nope, that's it. So he posted about this article, praising the veterans.
Yeah.
Looks like a press release directly from 7.
Yeah.
On behalf of, Wes.
Exactly.
And the work that he asked them to do. So, here's a interesting post that I found where Kaya took a trip to California to join his daughter, Sedef.
Yep.
California Kissimmee Gourmet. I don't know what that means, but he wrote all of this stuff on the album, which was in Turkish, which I translated to English, so it's not going to read all that well. But if you can make that bigger, I'm going to try.
Try and make it bigger.
Make it bigger. Okay. Okay, here you go. Las Vegas. No. Can you go to the other side, honey?
Over here.
There you go.
Okay.
Las Vegas, Dan, California, something Los Angeles, Earth, Early Girl, Sedef and Buyakataman.
Yeah.
Gormik, it's in, I don't know, that's all it looks like. It's still in Turkish here. Taking them, sure, truth. My daughter, Kendallin, Beautiful Resurrection, organized by was referring to see her mother and father want in This Is Already first night after Dala Stick second. Gina, my daughter, the prepared for something brunch. We started. And then a picnic invited. Picnic owner is, okay, the picnic owner, and this is the picnic we're going to see right now, is an old NATO political forces. Old NATO political forces. He is actually referring to Wes Clark. Senior, not junior. Wes Clark, the 4-star general that ran for president of the United States. That is who he is having a picnic with. And he's talking about him in this post. And he says, picnic was Musée something Arkansas Inland Maritime Museum in Arkansas, where he was swept in the honor of Turk Ragan 24 hours on Anunde. In only one protection bile notice, Wes Clark, a support on which Turkey is a very loving son. Wes Jr. Now they're talking about Wes Clark and Wes Jr. in the same post, and he says, to that, my daughter Pearl.
Oh, yes.
Remember I told you
Sedef
Sedef
means pearl.
Pearl in English?
Mm-hmm.
So my daughter Pearl and Wes Jr. in projects that support American Indians are working voluntarily AS. I was glad that Wes Clark, the former American president, no, he ran for president. He wasn't an American president.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No,
Did he get elected?
No, he didn't.
Okay. At the same time, I was glad Wes Clark, the former American president, at the same time supported them, his son, and Sedef, his Pearl. Supported them Yumruk Tape Sarap Ianim and Kizim Sedef and Buyakataman Lady Wesly Clark helped to prepare hamburgers and hot dogs. The picnic was filled with very polite and sexy people. Then we made a beach tour with the beautiful Capis or I don't know what that means. I'm going to Marina del Rey, which is close to me, and I have eaten dinner in a donor shop. Donut?
Donor
It's
shop.
nice to see that the donor shop in America are getting bigger and bigger, and I am seeing the wonderful wonderland of Canada and Canada. That's
Yes.
Canada and Canada. I don't
Canada
know.
and Canada.
Weird.
It is. I like the donor shops. I'd like to go hang out at the donor shops
Okay.
where you collect money.
Now, let's take a look
At some pictures.
at the pictures.
California.
These are all on Sedef's dad's page. There she is with her dad.
That's the guy that wants a submarine.
Yes. And that's Wes's dad with
Yes.
Sedef Buyakataman's dad.
That's Wes Clark Sr. General Clark.
Right. And I'm told this is actually Wes's house, Wes Clark Jr.'s house.
Wow.
I don't know if he was at this picnic. I didn't see any pictures
No.
in this album of Wes or his wife or anybody in Wes's
we see
family.
his yard.
Including his many dogs. But I think this is his Wes Clark Jr.'s home that they're meeting in. Next, there's Sedef with some people in Wes Clark Jr.'s backyard eating some food at a table. Next, there's Wes Clark Sr. with Sedef Buyakataman and her dad, Kaya Buyak Ataman, and another woman in front of a giant grill.
Yep.
In front of an island in the backyard of Wes Clark Jr.'s house. Looks like a nice yard.
Yeah.
Here's another picture. Sedef just chilling at a table. Looks like they're having a nice little picnic as described. And next, there's another picture. It looks like they're chilling.
And more people.
More people eating, walking around. There's another picture of Sedef. Looks like she's enjoying the food, having some wine.
Mm-hmm.
And here's another picture. Or is that the same picture?
Might be.
And what date is that? Can you make that big? This is on November 20, 2016.
November 20, 2016. Wow.
That was the date that people were getting shot
Mm-hmm.
at
Yes.
Standing Rock.
Yes.
With water cannons. Remember that?
Yes, I do. Wow.
That was when that happened.
They're having a picnic.
They were having a picnic that day.
Wow.
And there's a picture of Wes's dad talking to one of the women at the table.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like there's a bunch of people at the table. I think we already saw that one.
That's just a different shot.
Yep. That is all. There's another one.
There's two more.
Another one. Looks like Sedef's dancing.
Yep.
Dancing a jig or something.
Oh.
That was the article. That's the Turkish Forum Standing Rock article.
We already showed that.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, I found it when you were talking about
You
it.
found it.
This is way up there. It's above Sedef when she's dancing.
Yes. Well.
Oh my God.
I needed to teach you all of that because I wanted you to know this is something really interesting about what's been going on since January of 2018. The Turkish military launched a military operation codenamed Operation Olive Branch. by Turkey in the SDF-controlled Afrin district and the Tel Rifat sub-district. The offensive is against the Kurdish-led. Remember I told you about the Kurds and how they're not liked by Erdogan or the MHP party, Ismet's party, the friend of Sedef Buyakataman's dad. I mean, Sedef's dad. The offensive is against the Kurdish-led Democratic Union Party in Syria, the PYD, that we were just talking about. Its armed wing, remember, the People's Protection Units, also known as the YPG, and Syrian Democratic Forces. Their positions surrounding the Syrian city in Afrin. And on 18th of March, the Turkish-backed forces had taken full control of the center of Afrin city. With the capture, many civilians fled from the Turkish-backed rebels, who then looted the homes and businesses of local populations after their departure. It is the first major military operation by Turkey in Syria since Operation Euphrates Shield. Turkish president and dictator. By the way, this is all from WikiLeaks. I mean, that's not WikiLeaks. Wikipedia. Thank you. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has stated that the operations in Afrin would be followed by a push to the northern town of Manbij, which the U.S.-backed SDF captured from ISIL in 2016. So U.S.-backed SDF captured ISIL in 2016. Captured this town from ISIL. U.S. generals said that they will respond aggressively if such a provocation is made against them, the U.S. forces. You know, United States of America?
Yeah.
That's our country.
Yeah, exactly.
That's our guys. Right? The YPG announced that it would protect the people of Afrin and respond to the Turkish army if attacked. Between 295 and 510 civilians have been reported killed since the operation started. Other war crime allegations include the mutilation of female corpses by TFSA fighters, the killing of civilians due to indiscriminate shelling by Turkish forces, the use of chemical gas by the Turkish army, and the indiscriminate shootings of refugees fleeing from the conflict area into Turkey by Turkish border guards. Erdogan has threatened there will be a heavy price for those who have protested against the military offensive, and the Turkish government has issued restrictions on press coverage, with Reporters Without Borders noting that the press was expected to be in, quote, service of the government and its war goals. Hundreds of individuals have been detained for demonstrating against the operation. Over 800 social media users and nearly 100 politicians, and journalists have been detained for criticizing the operation. Turkish authorities have also arrested numerous leaders and high-ranking members of pro-Kurdish and left-wing political parties. According to the United Nations, you know that group that Trump
wants to get out of?
Quit out?
Yeah.
Yeah. As of March 2018, approximately 167,000 people were displaced due to the Turkish intervention. In the aftermath of the conflict, Turkish forces have implemented a resettlement policy by moving their fighters into the empty homes that once belonged to the displaced people.
Wow.
Many houses, farms, and other private properties belonging to those that fled the conflict have been seized and looted.
Wow.
So, I know we didn't know. I had to teach you because you probably didn't know all this stuff that I just told you about Turkey, but that's why we had to talk Turkey, because I didn't know. I had to learn along with you. I had to go and find all of this stuff out on Sedef's page and her dad's page. And I hope that now that you have this information, you'll begin to ask yourself some of the questions I've been asking. I'm going to be coming with more information about all of the connections that these folks have had to the people at Standing Rock and how those stories connect even further to those connections in the Standing Rock media groups as well as the medics groups, as well as the celebrities. So we'll be bringing you more of that here on Mexican Crossing Lines with Cindy Gomez-Schempp
And Duke Gomez-Schempp
on 88.1 FM, KPPPLP Fargo Moorhead, where we are adding local color